So, you know the moment. Halfway through an evening of passion and romance, when something starts to open and your body hits the accelerator. Faster, tighter, get to the end, get it done. Or maybe it's the other extreme, the stall, pulling back. Right when closeness is actually available, your body goes quiet, distant, somewhere else. I'm sure you know what I mean. So what if I told you that Tantra saw this coming 4,000 years ago? And that both of them, the rush and the stall, are exactly the same thing? Now in today's episode, we will explore a simple method to deal with both, to make those moments of pleasure so much more enjoyable. Hi, I'm Damien, and welcome to Tantric Flame. You know, here's what most people never hear. Rushing through intimacy and avoiding it entirely are not opposites. They are two faces of the same coin. Tantra has always known this. In the Tantric tradition, both are forms of what was called vega, the impulse to escape the present moment when sensation becomes too real. And your nervous system, it confirms exactly the same thing. When you rush, when you push through it, that's a sympathetic activation. The fight or flight branch of your nervous system is awake and hearing you. Your body has decided that staying present with this much sensation is actually unsafe. So it speeds you up. It gets you through it as quickly as possible, gets to the destination, crosses that goal, and boom. That minimizes the time you spend actually feeling. So when you stall, when you pull back, that's the dorsal vagal, the shutdown branch. The same calculation, just a different way out. Your body has decided, if I can't escape by speeding it up, I'll escape by switching off. Same coin, same fear. Same body doing exactly what it learned to do to keep you safe. Here's a tantric piece that really does change things. Because Tantra doesn't treat either of these problems as something to fix, it treats them as a signal. The rush, the stall, those are not proof that you're broken. They are proof that you are approaching something very real. And in Tantra, there is a teaching that the quality of intimacy is not measured by what you do. It is measured by how fully you are there for it. And the ego, the part of you that manages your life, your to-do list, your survival, the ego does not know how to be there for pleasure. The ego knows how to perform. It knows how to put on an act. It knows how to achieve. It knows how to complete a task and move on to the next one. That's its job. That is exactly why you're capable in your daily life. That's why you're switched on all day. But intimacy is not a task. Pleasure is not an outcome. The moment sensation becomes bigger than the ego can manage, it does the one thing it knows how to do. It takes control. Speed it up, get through it, or pull back. Go somewhere safe. Now, Tantra calls this a fundamental misunderstanding. We bring the same operating system we use to run our lives, the achieving, the completing, the managing the self, into the one space where it cannot function. And then we wonder why intimacy feels like an effort. It feels like an effort because you are trying to do it. And the body cannot be done. It can only be inhabited. Now, I want to ground this in something concrete because this isn't just an abstract spirituality. There is science here that Tantra understood intuitively and that modern research has now confirmed. Your skin contains a specific set of nerve fibers called C-tactile afferents. These fibers respond to one thing: slow, gentle touch. And here's what's remarkable. They only fire at speeds between 1 and 10 centimeters per second. If you want it imperial, that's about half an inch to about 3 inches per second. That is the speed of a hand moving slowly across skin. That is the speed of presence. Anything faster than that, and those fibers go silent. The nerves that signal safety, connection, and intimacy, they literally cannot register fast touch. So when you rush, you are bypassing the very nerve pathways that make intimacy feel safe. Your body never gets the signal. The touch is happening, but it's not sinking in. And somewhere underneath, somewhere deep down, your nervous system stays on guard. Because that message of safety never arrived. Now, Tantra didn't have the language of C-tactile afferents, but it spent 4,000 years developing practices that move at exactly this speed. The slow touch, the held gaze, the breath before the movement. All of it designed to let safety arrive before sensation does. Because Tantra understood that without safety, sensation is just stimulation. And stimulation without safety is what the body learns to escape. So let me say something that's probably been sitting underneath this for a long time. The reason you can't slow down, the reason your body either rushes or pulls away is not because there's something wrong with your desire. It's not because you are bad at intimacy. It is because slowing down is more vulnerable. Because when you slow down, you feel more. And when you feel more, you are more exposed. And somewhere in your history, somewhere in your journey, being exposed was not safe. Maybe it was a partner who took your openness and made it about their own needs. Maybe it was the message that good girls don't want too much, don't take too long, don't draw attention to their own pleasure. Maybe it was simply that no one ever taught you that your body was allowed to take up time. Whatever the reason, the pattern is the same. The body learned, if I stay present, I am vulnerable. If I am vulnerable, I can be hurt. So I will either speed through this or I will leave through the back door. And that was intelligent. That was your nervous system doing exactly the right thing at exactly the right time. The problem is it now doesn't know whether this is the right time or not. You don't have to fix this. You don't have to force yourself to slow down. Tantra never asks you to override your body's wisdom. What it asks you to do is much simpler. It asks you to notice, to bring your attention to the moment the accelerator kicks in, or the moment you start to drift. And instead of obeying it or fighting it, you just see it, just notice it. That's all. That's the first step. Just notice, be aware. So, just for a moment, wherever you are, I'd like you to try something with me. You don't need to be anywhere special. You don't need to close your eyes if it doesn't feel right. Just soften your gaze a little. And I'd like you to bring to mind a moment. It doesn't need to be sexual. A moment of something started to feel good. But you then notice yourself pulling the ripcord, speeding it up, moving on, changing the subject in your own body. Just get a sense of that now. The edge of it. The moment just before the accelerator went down. That's it. Now, what if, in that moment, you did nothing? What if you didn't speed up and you didn't leave? What if you simply took one more breath? Not a big dramatic thing, not forcing yourself to stay for an hour. Just one breath longer than you'd usually allow. Feel how that lands. One breath. That's the whole of it. Because here's the tantric truth that changes everything. You don't need to learn how to slow down. You need to learn that it's safe to stay for one more breath. And then another. And then another. Not because you're pushing, but because you're noticing that nothing bad happened. No one came. Nothing had to be answered for. There was no punishment. That's the practice, and in the full somatic session, we're going to go much deeper into this territory. I'm going to guide you through a full session, a tantric somatic practice designed specifically for the moment the rush kicks in. Or the stall, whichever it might be, where we're going to meet the body where it is, at its own pace, and let it discover that slowness is not dangerous. So between now and then, just once or twice, when you notice the accelerator, in any context, not just intimacy, just pause. One breath, that's all. Just notice what happens when you don't obey the impulse. There's one more thing I want to leave you with today, because it's a piece that most people never hear. In the West, we're told a very specific story about intimacy, that it builds towards something, that it has a peak, that the peak is the point, and if you don't reach the peak, something went wrong. Tantra does not see it this way. In the Tantric tradition, intimacy is not a line. It is not a journey toward a destination. It is a circle, a continuous, unhurried, deepening presence. There is nowhere to arrive. There is only how you fully are here. And when you understand this, not as an idea, but as something your body can feel, the rush loses its logic. Why would you speed toward a destination that doesn't exist? Why would you race through the very thing you came for? The stall begins to soften too, because if intimacy is not a performance, if there is nothing to achieve and nowhere to arrive, then what is there to pull away from? You are just hearing your body at your own pace, with nothing to prove. This is what Tantra means when it speaks of the sacred. Not something religious, not something separate from the body. The sacred is what happens when you stop trying to get somewhere and start being where you are. And the body, your body, knows exactly how to do this. It was designed for it. It's just been waiting for permission. You don't have to earn slowness. You don't have to be good at it. You just have to stop overriding a body that already knows the pace it needs. So, what just happened? You came into this episode perhaps thinking the rush was a problem to solve, or the stall was proof something was wrong with you. And somewhere in the last few minutes, you might have felt something shift. Not because you fixed anything, but because you saw it differently. The rush and the stall, two faces of the same thing. Not a flaw, a signal, feedback. A body that learned to protect you and just hasn't been told it's safe and it can step down. Tantra has known this for thousands of years, and your nervous system confirms it. And the way through it is not force. It's not trying harder to relax. It's presence, one breath at a time. One moment of noticing at a time. Letting safety arrive before sensation does. Now, like I said, in the next episode, I will take you into the full practice, a full guided session. Working directly with that moment when the accelerator, the rush appears, or when you start to drift. But before we finish, there's one quick thing. This podcast, what we do here, we're clearing the clutter. We're getting rid of the static, the noise that gets in the way of true sensual pleasure. The rush, the stall, the guff, everything we do week by week. But by clearing the way, it's not the same as walking in through the door beyond it. And beyond that door, the whole sensuality, the whole experience of receiving pleasure, the depth of pleasure that's been waiting for you. That's a completely different thing to step into. And that's what Flicker opens the door to. It's a short audio service that reconnects you to your deeper sensuality. It's absolutely free. The link is in the show's notes whenever you feel that you are ready to explore a deeper pleasure. So, between now and the next episode, just once, just notice a moment of rush or holding back. Don't fight it, don't obey it, just notice it. Take one breath longer than you usually would. And notice what happens, which is probably nothing. And that nothing, that absence of disaster, is the absolute beginning of everything. I'm Damien, and this is Tantric Flame, and I look forward to seeing you in the full somatic episode.